Uzi, how are you? Uzi, can you hear me?
Are you speaking, Iman?
I am. You can't hear me? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's just Uzi then. What a start. The day our audio issues are fixed, that's the day that hell will have frozen over, I think. It's going to be such a day that I will throw a party. Anyway. Uzi, how are you?
Doing well. FSD 12.5.1 or .1 is out now. Stock's going up. Had a good weekend. How are you?
I'm good. I worked this weekend because I'm going to be out next weekend, I think, and I was out last weekend. So I want to get some stuff done, publish Tesla Weekly for patrons and also Macro Weekly as well. So it was a productive.
Are we having the AI space today too?
Yeah, we'll have an AI space tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And Sierra is going to be there. Hopefully Michelle is going to be there. And, we'll see. I think it's going to be short, half hour to 45 minutes or so. It's going to be live streamed on YouTube as well. It's going to be more of a brainstorming session, I think, see what we want to do with it. I'm still not kind of 100% on what I want to do with it. Anyway, about Tesla, how are you?
Hi, how are you doing? Pretty good day.
Yeah, pretty good day. What's the latest on 12.5?
Well, 12.5.1 just went out beyond the original, the group, early access group. So it's going to close to 3% of the fleet in the US and Canada. I think US so far, but I'm sure Canada will be involved as well. So that's Elon Musk tweeted that it's coming, and it's soon after that it actually started rolling out. So that's a good sign. Hopefully, a lot of us will be getting it soon.
Okay, great. What's the difference between 12.5 and 12.5.1?
I don't know. I don't have that 12.5.1. There is nothing in the description, in the release notes. So Omar would be the one to ask since he has the latest one.
Okay, when he comes here, we can ask him about it. Edward, how's it going?
Not too bad. The only problem is I actually almost had an accident today on FSD. It was kind of crazy. It wasn't technically on FSD because it pulled off of it almost hit a curb because my alignment was a little bit off, and then it immediately pulled off the whole system, and then I had to take over immediately, and it was pulling towards the curb. So just to let anybody know who's using FSD a lot, like I use it every day for months, so I didn't really think about it, something like that potentially happening, but you should always check your alignments and stuff and make sure everything's good.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit more about the possible accidents?
Yeah, I was just driving. I mean, it was just doing its thing, driving me home this morning, and I'm just driving down the street. All of a sudden, it signals me the take over immediately thing, and it doesn't have the regenerative braking. It doesn't have any of the assists at all. Like it doesn't, like I'm slamming on the brake basically because it wasn't auto, you know what I mean? It wasn't using the regen braking. It still isn't. I'm at the Firestone right now getting the alignment fixed, and that should fix it no problem. But it was kind of a danger because I just wasn't ready for it, but I just jumped the hands on the wheel and luck, I was probably 3 inches from the curb, and it might have hit the tires. I might have done some damage, but I was lucky I wasn't around any of the cars or anything.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for letting us know. And I'm going to ask you about your Cybertruck experience later on too. Your wife posted a video that was pretty cool, or shared your video actually. That was pretty awesome. West Six, how are you?
Hey, doing fantastic. How you doing, Yaman?
I'm doing well. Doing well. How is my audio, by the way?
Sounds great.
I'm testing a new headphones right now.
Yeah,
These are
perfect.
Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra, which apparently makes a huge difference on noise cancellation. Anyway, what's on your mind lately?
You know, I had a great weekend. I really enjoyed watching the X Takeover event. I don't know, did you see the video from that, or Elon speaking by chance?
I saw a summary of it. What was your key takeaways?
There was one in particular that stood out. A few weeks ago, Elon said that the robotaxi will have hardware 5 or AI 5. And this weekend in the video, when he was live with this group, he said that hardware 5, AI 5 will not go into production until 2026. So what that told me, you know, connecting the dots here, is that robotaxi won't be deployed or in production until 2026.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, isn't that what we expected anyway?
Well, you know, some folks, I think Yoda might be one of them. I don't want to speak for him, but I thought he was predicting, you know, much quicker deployment of the robotaxi. It's kind of in line with what I was expecting. I was kind of hoping for 2025. So it's a little, you know, disappointing, assuming I'm connecting the dots properly, right?
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be in 2026? I'm taking
I
confidence
do.
on this topic here. I'm going to focus on this quite a bit. So the other thing I'm considering is doing YouTube specific videos, like exclusive to YouTube, so that it grows the YouTube channel. And I think I'm going to focus on robotaxi timeline type of topics. So I'm going to have guests and focus on these detailed, and we're going to have select guests. I'm still trying to kind of I'm trying to figure out what the best way to do this is. So I haven't decided yet, but at the top of your screens is the link to the YouTube live stream that's going on right now. You can join the live chat function as well. On there, we have quite a few people on there right now. Some of our biggest supporters, members, patrons are in the live chat right now. So you can go there through the link at the top of your screens. So Wes Hicks says that he thinks robotaxis will be produced in 2026. That's a hell of a statement, Wes Hicks.
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah, because let's see. So that's a 3-year out prediction. Okay, so we're going to come back to that. Just stay on speaker board for a second. Let me go to Brandon. Brandon?
Hi. I didn't watch most of it, but I did happen to see that part. I'm pretty sure that Elon said volume production in 2026. So that seems to mean, I think, still 2025 is when he was looking to get production up and running on the robotaxi.
Okay,
Yeah, what I'm referring, may I jump in?
sure.
Sorry about that, Yelman. Yeah, well, he was referring to the chip,
If
the
you
AI
have
5 chip.
if you have to jump in, if it's going to make you feel better
Sorry.
by yourself.
It does make me feel good, to be honest. But no, he was
Okay.
talking about the chip itself. So I don't think he would talk about volume as it relates to a chip. So it wasn't the car he was talking about.
Brandon?
Yeah, you're right. It was the chip, but I'm still pretty sure he did say volume production. I'll have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure that's what he said because I had the same thought as you.
Okay. Let's go to Dallas. Dallas, how was it going? How was your weekend?
It was great. All good. Definitely excited this morning. Stock's looking really good. It seems like Wall Street's found out about 12.5. So again, this space is ahead of the curve. Not financial advice, but I'm glad for those of us that made the call to buy the dip. Seems like
Dude, how can this space ahead of the curve can't possibly interpret this financial advice?
Now, what I said after was financial advice. I said for those of you that bought the dip. That's all. No.
Wait, so is it financial advice or is it not financial advice? You're contradicting yourself.
Definitely not financial.
We
advice.
have to have an expert from SEC in here.
Yeah. And then definitely exciting news on 12.51. I'm two things were just brought up that were actually pretty interesting, and I've been thinking about a lot. Someone mentioned release notes kind of being lackluster recently since V12. Definitely agree with that. Would love to see a little bit of work put back into getting some substantial release notes because, I mean, we are seeing rapid growth and change with these updates. And I know point updates are small, but we didn't get release notes for 12.5, so that would be great. But yeah, I'm actually looking at my screen right now, and it says I've got the 12.5.1 coming in hot, so I'll be putting that on this afternoon.
Okay, great. I think a few other people in the audience also said the same. So if you have downloaded 12.5.1 and you have driven a little bit, come on up to the speaker board, share with us your experience. Speaking of which, we have Omar on the board now. Omar, how was your weekend? Omar, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Am I breaking up for anybody else? Okay, Uzi. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe Omar, it's your connection then, it seems. I'm actually testing a new set of headphones from Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra. And this is not paid sponsorship. I just like them so much that I might actually keep them. I've been testing different headphones. And I first tried a Beats Pro, and that was horrible. I returned it after 2 days. And I got these, and they seem to be doing really well. Active noise cancellation on these Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra headphones seems better than even AirPods. But AirPods are going to come out with their third version in a couple of months. So they may actually be good enough for a podcast. Omar, can you hear me fine now?
Yeah.
Okay. So how is 12.5.1 doing for you?
Well, today I had my first safety critical intervention, and then I woke up. It was a dream. I still haven't had any safety critical interventions in real life. It just does every drive perfectly. It does it more quickly than 12.5. It's like a human. I mean, this is the real deal, and they're just getting started here. So Elon just tweeted that 12.5.1 is going wide. I think people are going to be blown away. Chuck Cook just tweeted, it's the biggest change in a single update he's ever seen. You know, even bigger than V11 to V12, which kind of matches up with what I've been saying. So making the model 5 times larger has really improved the driving personality. It's taken it to the next level. And I think people are going to be shocked when they get it on their car.
Sierra.
Hi. So Omar, do you know yet? Did you get 12.5.1 yet?
Yep.
Did you see the release notes?
I saw that it said upcoming features and there was some stuff.
FSC on Cybertruck.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited for that. That's supposed to come in around mid-August.
It's like on the release notes of the version that I'm downloading right now.
Yeah, I pinned it at the top. And
Yeah,
I
but
just
it says
reposted.
upcoming.
Oh, does it?
Oh, I'm sorry. That got me so good. I was so stoked. I got to go delete my tweet. Apologies, crowd.
It got me too. While we have Sierra here, tonight we're hosting an AI space. If you want to hear Sierra get even more excited about artificial intelligence, more than she just did with FSD on Cybertruck, you're welcome to join us at 8 p.m. tonight. It's going to be only about 30, 45 minutes. It's got kind of an introductory space, and we're going to try to do it on Monday evenings. So tonight's session is more of a brainstorming thing.
I would
Dallas.
love to come normally,
Yeah.
but Bradford Ferguson is taking me to Disneyland today for a VIP tour.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Dallas.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask for some clarification on Chuck's, or the mention of Chuck's comment earlier. When he says largest change from version to version, which version is he referring to, as the starting version before 12.5.1?
Just go check out his tweet. I just retweeted it. You can ask him yourself.
Also, at the top of our screens, this episode is proudly sponsored by Jowua Life. Jowua Life. The referral link is at the top of our screens. You save 5%, and then the 5% goes to support this space.
Yeah, I've got their stuff all over my car. I got my new
What do you
Model
have?
3. Well, a bunch of their stuff. Honestly, like I mentioned before, I really like their electric scooter. They've got this little electric scooter you can keep in your trunk, and you can actually plug it in and charge it in your Tesla. But then, sometimes you're like, okay, I kind of need something like this. You can just kind of whip it out. Then when I got my new Model 3, they're like, hey, can we send you a bunch of stuff? I'm like, sure. So they sent me like their all weather floor mats, which are really nice. They're obviously, if you're in weather in an area with like a lot of rain or snow or anything, I would definitely recommend changing to those mats. Then they have like, their USB hub, which makes the USB ports a little easier to access. I love that. Instead of like digging down for the USB ports, they kind of put it right at the top there. So, I mean, they have a ton of cool accessories.
Do you actually use the scooter? Is it good?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean,
How
it's
far does it go? Are you saying that just because he's in the audience right now?
no, no. I have it down in the garage. I keep it in my car. It's super useful. Sometimes, let's say like you're at a car wash or something, right? And they're washing your car. I'm like, okay, let me just scooter over to Chipotle and go get some lunch, and then I'll come back, or something like that. Or okay, I'm parked at the beach. Let me go scooter over to where I want to go. So it's just fun, if you like if you like electric cars, the scooter is pretty fast too, honestly, if you don't cap the speed. So I definitely that's one of my favorite products that they have that I use a lot.
Okay, and they have other stuff as well. And I asked him to come up and kind of chat about his products every now and then. Maybe we can do like a once a week or once a month kind of thing, because I think sometimes people just don't know, you know. And if you want to purchase the products like the scooter that Omar just talked about, use the code TSLA Live or go through the link at the top of your screens. It automatically adjusts puts the code into the when you check out. And I thank you for the couple people who already purchased their items. And Sierra, what are you going to get from Jowua Life?
I want to get the tray so that I can work on my laptop while I supercharge like a nerd.
Oh
But
yeah,
the
I have
tray
one of
is really
those.
cool. You have it, Omar? Do you love it?
Yeah, it's really handy. It's actually a pretty big tray. It's really good for taking your laptop on. Like I'll use it sometimes if I have to edit a video in the car or something. You just kind of push your seat back, put that table up, and then boom, you're ready to go.
And does it fit under your seat? Like, where do you stow yours, if you don't mind my asking?
Well, they actually kind of made it so you can stow it in, I think or I keep mine in the under trunk area in my car because I'm not using it all the time. But you might be able to fit it in like the side of your seat or something too.
Cool. Thank you.
All right, great. Let's see. Sierra, are you excited for our space tonight?
I am. I'm very excited. Always stoked to talk about AI stuff. If you know me, you know that.
Mm-hmm. Did you read the 5 papers I sent you on Sunday?
I read 3. Getting there. We've got time.
Yeah. You get my sarcasm, but I don't think anyone else does. So no homework for tonight. Join us at 8 o'clock. Omar, what do you say to people that say FSD only works in California? The AI team has optimized FSD to work on Elon's and some of the influencers' routes. And this thing is not going to be robotaxiable for 10 plus years.
I say more on alert with the siren, and that's usually what I comment when somebody says something that stupid. So, FSD, people actually get this backwards. FSD actually is designed to work anywhere. Waymo and the other systems, they're designed to only work in one place or a few places. They pick one route that they're good at, and they just send everyone down that route. Oh, okay, you have to go north? Okay, take the one street we send all our cars down. And so you're driving on this one street and you see all these Waymos going both directions. You're like, hey, there's all these Waymos here. That's sort of how they do it. Now with FSD, you can actually use it anywhere. So Waymo is so bad in other areas that they won't even let you go there. It won't even work, right? FSD, they actually let you take it anywhere. So a lot of people sort of get confused about this. They think, oh, Waymo is, 18,000 miles per intervention and Tesla's, 500 or something. When if you do an apples to apples comparison, really try them anywhere, then Tesla is actually far more capable. It works way more places. I mean, look at 12.5. Is Chuck in California? No, he's in Florida. You have people in Texas, people in Chicago, people all across the country. There's no other self-driving system that works in so many places, that works in so many cities, and that's why nobody's closer to generalized autonomy than they are. But once they go end to end on the highways, I'm gonna take it and I'm just gonna drive across the country and I'll make videos. And like I've driven across the country with it before. The way people talk, you'd think that you cross the California border and it suddenly starts driving off the road. No, it just works exactly the same outside of California as in California. Maybe some of the things are less common to its data set because there are fewer Teslas there. But what it's really doing is just looking at the road with cameras and figuring out how to drive on the road. So it works much better than anything else that exists out there, right? So if you're criticizing it for only working one place, I mean, compared to what? It works more places than anything else. And then people also forget you only need to launch a robotaxi one place, right? So let's say it works in California and it doesn't work in anywhere else in any other state. Well, then launch a service in California. And then once it starts working in the other places, you can launch there too, right? So,
Do you think
for
that's what's going
others,
to, you think that's what Tesla's going to do? Launch in one city first?
it's hard to know what exactly they're going to do, but I'm just saying as a hypothetical, if it were true that it only worked in one place, then you can launch there. So what the market really cares about is the first robotaxi, right? They're holding Tesla to a much higher bar. Okay, for Waymo, it only needs to work in one little area of the city, not even the whole city. But for Tesla, they need to work on every corner of the earth before they're ready for robotaxi. That's not really how it is. You could do a geofenced deployment in a small area probably today and have it be safer than a human.
Okay. Next network. X network, you have to unmute yourself for us to hear you.
Oh, hi. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So just a little idea for an invent. Why is Tesla not doing power tools and electric lawnmowers and all that industry?
They have a lot of fish to fry right now. That's not the priority. Okay. About Tesla, any words on 12.5? So dot one is only with a few people, right? Anything on 12.5.6? When it's going to go to Cybertruck? When we're going to get smart summon, reverse functionality, anything of that sort?
Well, the one thing we know for sure, which Elon Musk just announced earlier today, is that hardware 3 will be supported in about 10 days. So that's the next release he implies. So that's, I don't know what, it probably will be a dot release, I'm guessing. But that's what is coming next, the support for hardware 3. A lot of people are waiting for that.
I missed that
as far
one.
as,
Did you reply to somebody?
yeah, I can repost it if you'd like.
Okay.
I think I might have reposted it on my timeline.
Okay, let's focus on hardware 3 for a second. A lot of people feel anxious about hardware 3 cars. I'll pin at the top of our screens one listing of a Model Y long range with FSD for going for only $28,000. And I reposted my post from yesterday, which was a repost to a post from 2 days ago before that. And the price of this listing dropped 4.3% in 5 days. And Model Y resale values are declining quite rapidly in the last few weeks here. Omar, does this declining trend worry you as an investor?
No, I think it's great actually. People can get a great car. It's cheap. I mean, Elon's talked about this sort of EV hangover where people are just dumping their failed EVs on the market at insane deals, way cheaper than a Tesla. So you think that 28,000 is cheap? Wait until you see what the other guys have. They have their hands full of new inventory and they're desperately trying to get rid of it. So that's just the market right now. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Tesla or FSD. It's just that we're in this sort of EV hangover. So all we have to do is get through it, focus on FSD. I mean, it's just nuts. Like I think of people who don't use FSD as like people who are still using a flip phone or like somebody who has to write to someone they write a letter by hand and take it to the post office. It's like, "Huh? What are you doing? You're still driving the car yourself?" And over time, I think everybody's going to start to see it this way. And there will be an uptick in demand for cars, but that doesn't seem to be a material factor in the used car market right now.
Yeah. Tommy?
Yeah, along the lines of hardware 3, we're hearing a lot about the parameter count increase and shrinking the model down and making it work on hardware 3 and that. Is there anybody that can actually explain what that means? I've listened to a lot of spaces where, people throw these phrases around, but nobody's actually explained it in a way that someone who's not an AI expert can understand it.
Omar?
Well, they don't need to shrink the model down. That's what I think a lot of people are missing. So Elon says it's going to run the bigger model, the 5 times larger parameter count. It's going to run it raw, full scale. No need to shrink it down to run on hardware 3. What he said, and this is a subtle distinction, is that they're simply working on some performance optimizations so that it can run the 5 times larger model and still perform well. So, it's in the validation phase right now. Hopefully it's going to be about 10 days, realistically, maybe week or two, maybe 2 to 4 weeks at most. And then it'll just run on hardware 3, exact same model as hardware 4. And this isn't even a hardware 4 model yet. It isn't trained on hardware 4 images. It's not using the extra compute power of hardware 4. So there will be eventually even bigger models that can run on hardware 4 and not hardware 3. But this is not that time. Hardware 3 will run the full model. Now, in terms of running the smaller model, if you've seen like large language models, for example, you've probably seen, like if you look at Llama, for example, Meta just released Llama 3 405 billion parameter version. So, you know, think about it like a bunch of multiplication. And they, the the bigger models just have a lot more parameters, a lot more numbers that you need to multiply together to inference the model, right? So essentially, you need to do a lot more operations. You need a lot more compute to run those larger models. But there are techniques like quantization that you can use where you can essentially take a model, smaller model, and distill it from the big model. And you can go look up on Wikipedia if you want the details of how that's done. But that's, for example, how they take the 405 billion parameter version of Llama 3 and then train a 70 billion parameter version, even a 7 billion parameter version, and that 7 billion parameter version is small enough that you can run it on your phone. So the 405 billion parameter version, it would take forever, right? You'd be getting like one word every minute or something if you even had the memory to run it on your phone. Whereas the smaller version of the model can actually run very quick. And it can preserve a lot of the qualities of the larger model, but just kind of distill down more to its essence. So Tesla is going to continue training models for both hardware 3 and hardware 4. And even after hardware 4 is running models that are bigger that can't run on hardware 3, hardware 3 will still continue to get updates and new versions of the model that drive better.
Okay, that's helpful. Still hard to understand, probably for those of us who aren't AI experts. I'm doing the Cybertruck trial, by the way, on Monday, in case anybody wants to hear about that experience that they're starting to offer.
Dave.
Just briefly, can you hear me?
You're far away, Dave.
You can't hear me?
No, you're
You may
far
have the wrong audio source, like you're
Brandon.
talking through your headphones and it's in your pocket.
Yeah, just to go back to what we were saying earlier, I did clip the video and put it in the replies to this space about Elon talking about volume production. He called it hardware 5, but AI 5 or whatever you want to call it in 2026, which I kind of took also as that means that Robo Taxi will be in volume production sometime in 2026. I imagine that's going to be what uses hardware 5 first. So that's all.
Okay. Omar, let's switch to Elon's interview or when he joined the X takeover.
Sure.
Did you see anything new in that interview?
There's a couple interesting tidbits here and there, things like the Cybertruck FSD coming in mid-August and stuff like that. Nothing really earth-shattering, but some good updates. It was a good interview.
What do you make of his comment that Tesla stock today is where NVIDIA stock was before it went up very substantially?
Yeah, I mean, he took the words right out of my mouth, honestly.
So should we expect the stock to go up by 10x in the next year?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure, but that's why I've been buying a ton of shares. I mean, you look at the market, they're all losing their minds over this AI theme. Oh my God, AI, AI. And they're all investing in a bunch of BS, right? Hey, let's invest in this company. All right, how are you actually going to make money? Oh, money? Huh? Well, we're going to make AGI. Okay. Well, the history of AI is that people kept thinking they were going to figure out AGI, and then they realized they had no clue what they were doing, right? So we started with expert systems where we just programmed in all this medical knowledge, if this, if then, else, right? Simple procedural statements. And, we had chatbots like Eliza where you talk to it and it would, say something vaguely related to what you typed. Or, take a part of what you said and repeat it back to you to make it think it's like, intelligent. And people got, oh my God, we're going to solve artificial intelligence. Then we had what was called AI winter. Nothing happened for decades until the next breakthrough. So, people are starting to notice. Goldman Sachs is like, wait a minute, we're investing a lot of money into this. And like, they're selling $20 a month subscriptions. Or in the case of Meta, they're like giving it away for free. So what is the consumer's willingness to pay for this? So I think eventually the market's going to realize, wait a minute, nobody's actually making any money from LLMs. It's kind of like FSD 4 years ago when they just started doing it, but it was far away from being able to perform really well. So there's going to be years and years of work that's needed to get LLMs to a place where they can generate meaningful amounts of revenue. And people in the meantime are going to start to just expect them to be given to them for free. ChatGPT and Llama have already done that. Meanwhile, here, Tesla has something that is an AI product that is unlike anything we've ever seen before. I mean, the reliability of this, leagues and leagues ahead of ChatGPT. And they're inferencing it on their own hardware. It's profitable. It boosts their car business and they can sell subscriptions and purchases and eventually have it do jobs on the Tesla network. I think people are going to realize this is the most overlooked AI play, and they actually have a plan to make money from their AI efforts. They're not just spending billions in perpetuity without any way to ever see it come back.
Uzi.
I think at best or at worst, the LLMs are self-pleasuring tools, and at best, they're an answer box. But I looked at your post today, and stock Stock Talk responded with the Piper Sandler note, and the note was titled "Tesla may have solved self-driving. Don't roll your eyes" by Tesla. And so, even though with the Nvidia comparison, even though Elon had already had that, larger than life move with the stock before, I think people are discounting what Elon has to say, and they're having a hard time valuing in, I guess, the hype and then the new technology, and it's specifically around FSD. The nice thing is that at least with humanoids, Jensen's also beating the drum on that case, and he's somewhat giving credit to Elon too for FSD. But I think there'll be two run-ups. We're seeing the robotaxi one now, and then 3 to 5 years we'll see Optimus start getting valued in.
Okay, so you expect this run up to continue, Uzi, is that right?
For the most part, I mean, it won't be smooth. It's not clear whether the run-up's valued on robotaxi or FSD. So it's not. There's no. Obviously, the stock price is objective, but the motivation as to why people are buying is not clear. People could be buying because of Optimus too. I really don't think they should buy solely off Optimus at this point, though. Even though I love Optimus.
Why do you say that? So I actually put out a tweet the other day and said something like, because I want to kind of see how people think about volume production of Optimus. Every single person seems to be very conservative about Optimus production. Even the bulls, people I meet in personal life, they're so skeptical and a lot more optimistic about robotaxis, except for one person and one person only, and that is Machine. Machine is the opposite. He's not here right now, but literally every single person I speak with otherwise seems super excited about robotaxis and super conservative about Optimus. So what makes you feel that Optimus is 5 years out?
Well, I say 3. I mean, first thing is they need to finalize the the hands, and then they also need to scale production, and then I need more. It can't just be one bot working autonomously in the factory. My theory is that Optimus will grow up in the factory, and then it will become material once it starts getting sent out to businesses. Not just commercial businesses, but a coffee shop, even in part of robotaxi. I don't know if that's material though. So you're also scaling robotaxi at the same time. So it just how much can you scale production all at the same time? I mean, it seems like robotaxi is the priority at this point.
Okay, Scott.
Yeah, I joined to talk about FSD 5 and 5.1, not so much about robotaxi and Optimus, but so I can chime in later when we are back to that topic.
Okay. Wessex.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out something to everybody that's listening to this. If you're trying to get into artificial intelligence and understand it better, this weekend or a few days ago, Zuckerberg was interviewed by, I think the guy's name is Rowan Chung. It's about a 35-minute interview. And it really talks a lot about the open source benefits of AI and why with Llama that they went open source. I mean, it was just rich with information. But then I learned about this other guy named Matthew Bergman, who kind of did an overlay. So he kind of went through that interview and then, took some pieces out of it, and it was just brilliant. So I highly recommend Matthew Bergman or Berman, excuse me, Berman, and that interview with Zuckerberg from this weekend or for the last
So
few
why
days.
don't
It
you,
was great.
instead of promoting other interviews and stuff in my space, why don't you just give us like 3 bullet point summaries of those interviews and actually add something to the conversation?
Yeah, you got it. So Zuck basically used what's the operating system? Linux as an example. Back in the day, Linux was open source, but there were very strong Unix operating systems, like AS400 had one, other different Unix programs had one, but they were closed source. And Linux really wasn't considered viable for a company. But then they started patching it using open source. Everybody around the world started patching it, and it suddenly became better than the closed source ones. And use that analogy for that's what's happening with AI. When you have closed AI products like ChatGPT, he thinks, Zuckerberg, that Llama's approach by open sourcing it, it'll surpass these closed source model. And they even exposed the weights, not just the model, but the weights itself for people to use and modify. And it was really interesting in that way. So I really understood how they're commoditizing LLMs simply by making this open source and kind of destroying, if you will, at least his hope is to destroy ChatGPT and other closed models.
Well, Mark, Ken has a question for you in YouTube live chat and says, isn't XAI an LLM company? If so, why would Tesla put $5 billion into a company with no clear way to monetize the product?
Well, good question. That's a question Tesla investors need to ask. I mean, I'm in favor of making an equity investment. I think these models that they're training do potentially have some potential. There's a reason everybody's investing in it. They're not all crazy, right? I mean, I'm just kind of trying to make a point dramatically about what's going on in the market. The market looks at what's in front of their face right now, right? So when you look at the earnings of these companies, they're just going to be bleeding red ink. That's the market reality when we talk about the stock price. These LLM companies would tell you that we're making very long-term investments in creating an artificial general intelligence. And surely an artificial general intelligence would have a lot of value. It's a lot like FSD, right? So right now they're kind of in LLM supervised. You wouldn't let an LLM write an email to your boss without checking it, right? Or an email that's important. You would supervise it. Now, in the future, the LLMs are going to get so good that you would trust them to write the email themselves and not make any mistakes or not embarrass you. So they're really in the supervised, unsupervised phase. It's probably going to take some time, maybe a little longer than people like, for them to get there. But you can definitely see how powerful these models are. I mean, we all use them every day. I often now go to an LLM instead of a search. And, one point I'll make on Meta, obviously really love what they've done with Llama. The fact that I, as a software developer, can go download Llama and inference it locally without paying Meta anything, that's a game changer in the tech industry. No doubt about it. But, the term open source is not quite accurate. Wes mentioned Linux and other open source operating systems where people from all around the world could collaborate on making things better. I could go send a patch to Linux to Linus Torvalds, and if he doesn't cuss me out in the email reply, I could potentially just get it merged into Linux, and then it's part of Linux. With these models, the weights are open. The model weights that you download to run and inference the model are open, but the source code, the training set, is not open. So it's not possible for anyone to go and sort of retrain the model. They can, of course, fine tune Llama 3 based on their own data and get it to sort of adapt in certain ways. But that base model is still closed in the sense that I can't recreate what Meta did. Not that I would want to because it costs millions of dollars, but they're still keeping the ingredients they need to build it a secret.
Scott?
Hello. Yeah. So I was just going to talk about the FSD 12.5, if that's okay. We were talking about that earlier, and I wasn't able to speak at that time, so
Yeah, that's
I
fine. Go
came up.
ahead.
So my car has I'm hardware 4, AI 4. I like to try to stay with the up and coming terminology. And I have the 12.5, and it works fantastic. We're currently camping this weekend, and I turned it on, had to go make an errand to get some more supplies from the store, and I just put my destination in. It drove me out of the campground nice and slow. Got out on the highway, took me right there. Did not have to disengage at all till I got into the parking lot to park. And then on the way back, same thing. The only one difference that I saw that I've seen other people post is sometimes it would tend to stay like a mile an hour below the speed limit on the 55. but I just tapped on the gas a little bit and get it up to like 60 or wherever, and then it was
Gas.
fine.
What gas?
I'm
You want
sorry.
to have
The
gas?
accelerator pedal. You are correct. Again, that's traditional thinking. You got to get that out of my head.
Omar,
And
what
I'm
do
always
you say? Do you say gas or do you say pedal? Or do you say accelerator?
Accelerator.
That's
accelerator.
too long. That's too long.
that thing at the bottom on the right side. But I haven't. I just checked my car, and it does not have the 12.5.1 yet. I saw on what was it? Not a Tesla app. It looked like it went out to 236 cars currently. So I don't know which cars are actually getting that. It'd be great. Hardware 3. I know everyone's so worried about the hardware 3. I'm with Omar. Just don't worry about it. It's going to come. So patience. Everyone has to be patient. I had other times when there were updates. I had to be patient too. We just sit back and wait your turn, and when the time comes, it comes. So, but I am super excited about it. I love it. It's
so
great.
you like 12.5.1, doing well for you. Okay.
Correct. I will throw a little bit about Jowua. I haven't bought recently, but in the past I got their wireless charger upgrade for my 2018 Tesla for my phone, and it worked great. I'm definitely going to be checking out those floor mats, and I think I like that idea of those tables. So I just wanted to throw a little pin out there that I'm hoping to buy something that as soon as I get home,
Thank
get
you.
better Wi-Fi.
If anybody has used Jowua before, you may come up and share with us your experience, and let us know how you like the product. And the code that supports this space is TSLA Live that you add it at the checkout, or you can use the link at the top of your screens that does that automatically. It's more convenient.
Yeah, one of the products I like from them is the MagSafe wireless charger, because like everybody's been talking about how the wireless charging pad on your Tesla just makes your phone so hot, and then it won't even you can't even use it because it's so hot. It's like freaking out. They've like declocked it. And it's because it's not lining up quite right with the coil, right? It's always sliding around as you're driving. If you're driving your Tesla like you should, then it's probably sliding around a lot. So Joa's got this MagSafe charger. It just magnets right into your phone, holds it in place, and you don't have that issue.
Is it also true that it charges your phone twice as fast? I think I saw that on their website when I was looking through it. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, the one in your car doesn't charge that fast. It's really barely gets any charge. So I would definitely recommend if you actually want to charge your phone with your wireless charger and not just heat it up, check out the Jowua one.
Yeah. And I think it also says something like, if I remember correctly, it says something like it allows you to kind of glance at your phone because it's right behind your steering wheel or next to your steering wheel, as opposed to having to look down on it.
Yeah, great for rideshare drivers.
Okay, good. All right, Omar, let's answer a couple of these questions at the top. So I regularly ask questions to my followers, and I'm always surprised by some of these answers. This one had wide dispersion, and this one's very important to the fair value, intrinsic value of the company. So the question is, how many Tesla robotaxis will be on the roads in 2030? This is at the top of our screens. If you look through the responses, they range from 0 to 50 million. 0 to 50 million is the range of responses. And there is no, it's like wide dispersion too. So they don't really coalesce around any sort of specific number either. We lost Sommer. Uzi, what do you think?
I'm looking through the answers and I see 2 million robot, 3 million Teslas by Felipe. So I guess that goes into our question about Optimus and robotaxi timelines converging. I mean, in my opinion, I told you Q2 2026 will have about 1,000, right? So if they scale production, I'd say plus 5 million comfortably.
You're thinking 5 million. We're 6. How about you?
Think about 1.5 million.
How'd you get to that?
Well, knowing they're not going to start, or thinking they're not going to start robotaxi production until 2026, and let's say they scale that up really quickly. I think that's where they'll be. I don't know. It's just kind of a, how fast can you produce these things? And I think they'll do it really fast. But 1.5 million is a lot of cars.
I mean, Omar agrees with you. He says 2026 is when they're going to start producing the purpose-built robotaxis. Wes Hicks also says the same. Elon said the same in the interview. I'm not 100% on it yet. I'm a little skeptical on this timeline. I don't know if the software is going to be there. I don't know if the regulatory approvals are going to be there. And I think the market agrees with me, because if the market believed robotaxis were going to be produced in 2026, the stock would be multiple $trillion level right now.
The market's out of date.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go try the software.
I try every single software. Let me tell you a story. Okay. So yesterday, my couple of friends, these are close friends, they invited me to their cricket club. Okay. Because we wanted to, like, I haven't seen them in a while. We wanted to catch up over brunch, and I didn't eat for 24 hours before going there. And because I want to, like, literally load up for a week's worth of food in this all you can eat brunch. Okay. And I did. And we caught up. Great conversation. We watched some tennis. And on the way back, these guys own a Tesla. And they own a Tesla based on my recommendation. Okay. They were about to get a Mercedes EQS or whatever they have. And I talked them out of it 2 years ago. So they paid something like $70,000 for a Model Y Performance 2 years ago. And they got FSD as well. And they love it. They love their car. They would never go back to a gas car. They would never sell their Tesla. They love it. Okay. But obviously, because the prices have come down so fast, they're a little sour on the purchase. Not to mention, these guys do not like FSD. And I smooth talked them a little bit on FSD over brunch. And on the way back, we want to try it. I finally convinced them. I said, you know what? Just let it try. Just give it another shot. Goes for 10 seconds and then slams the brakes on an interconnect. And the car behind us didn't hit us, but had to slam their brakes too. And this, my friend, is barely a friend anymore. He cursed at it, and he's like, cursed at Elon, cursed at Tesla. And I'm like, I don't think he's gonna try it again for another year. So
well, I mean, you're showing him the V11 stack when 12.5 is out,
So 12.3.6.
Yeah, I mean, it's the V11 highway stack you're describing on an interchange, right? Meanwhile, they've trained an entirely new end-to-end highway stack. This is what I'm saying is people are very out of date, right? They're looking at something that was trained years ago and saying, okay, this is the latest thing Tesla has. When in reality, they're training 12.6, 12.7, and they're already releasing 12.5.1 today. But most people have formed an opinion based on 12.3 or based on 11, and they haven't seen what the latest software does. Like, go try 12.5.1 and tell me that you don't think the software is going to be ready in 2026. It already does every drive perfectly.
Okay, so Omar says 12.5.1 convinced him that the FSD software is going to be ready for robotaxi by 2026. If anybody in the audience agrees with Omar and has 12.5.1, please come up to speaker board and present your case. Edward?
I don't have the 12.5 yet, but the 12.3, if you show them on city streets. I mean, it never gives me a problem on city streets. It's the interconnects and things like that and exchanges that it may have some issues. And like Omar was saying, that's the stack issue. So that'll be solved once they go to single stack.
Scott.
I was gonna say I agree 100%. It used to be the highway was better and city was terrible. You couldn't even go through a stoplight or a roundabout; it would just stop. Where now the city is a lot better, and the highway is where you have your issues. So again, people, just be patient, and and don't compare. Like Omar says, don't compare to the old. Keep up and and I've been on it for 2 years using it, and you can clearly see the strides it's making, especially since version 12. It's just it's so much better, and it's just going to continue to get better. So, um, yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, it's kind of like if somebody comes to you with an iPhone 3G and they go, "Wow, this is the best Apple's got." They don't even have 5G on this thing. And you're like, "Well, they do actually have 5G, but you got to try the
Even an
latest
iPhone
phone."
5.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on the highway stack, they just took the highway stack end to end with 12.5. They haven't turned it on yet, but probably the next point release is going to turn it on. And they're literally throwing that entire highway stack in the trash, just like they did with the city streets. So, I mean, let me tell you, I was in the Griffith Observatory this weekend. It was like a parking lot. And I said, screw this, let me turn it off, turn FSD on. FSD navigated the parking lot. It turned around the turn in the Griffith Observatory. It got on the 5. The 5 was packed. Like there was no room to get in. It was making moves like a stunt driver, pushing up before a bus and then cutting in front of it, getting onto the 110. Like my jaw was on the floor. So this highway stack, even before it's end to end, is extremely good. The end to end version, it's going to be ready to do a coast to coast drive without any intervention and without any hard braking events, if you can believe that.
Sierra.
Yeah, so I have been vocally skeptical of robo-taxi readiness, but I just want to publicly voice that since getting 12.5, that has changed tremendous. I would get in the backseat of my car today, and I am floored by that.
Would you put your son in the back seat of your car today without a driver in the seat?
Not yet, but I'm like a nervous parent. Maybe after like 25 rides of me in the back seat, perhaps, and with me in the vehicle. But I think it's a long time just from a parental standpoint that I trust autonomy with the life of my child. Not because of the tech, though, just because I'm a mom.
Okay. Wow. This is some wild sports across the nation for 12.5. I mean, even the AI driver is very positive. Dirty Tesla is very positive on FSD 12.5. Even Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas, he says, don't roll your eyes at me. Just go try it with his colorful language. And yet, yesterday, my friend just like yelled at me. And I'm like, anyway.
He's not running the latest version. Once he gets the latest version, maybe today, have him try it again.
Okay. I don't think he wants to talk to me for a year. Dallas.
I don't spend enough time on interstate drives as much as a lot of people do. I know that, but one issue I saw anytime I would ever use pre V12 FSD and or just generic autopilot was what we call phantom braking. I would probably chalk those up to some of the most scary incidents I've had on autonomy in this car. But is that something that we can be? Chalk those up to some of the most scary incidents I've had on autonomy in this car. But is that something that we can be kind of rest assured that that's something that is going to die with old autopilot or V11 or like is that
To do that anymore? The end-to-end stack doesn't do that. It's history. And really, all you have to do, like I drove for years when it was doing that kind of thing. All you have to do is just push the accelerator quickly if it starts braking and take over. If it's something that surprises you, then it's unpleasant. If it's something that you know about, then you can be ready for it. But it doesn't do it anymore. It's like ancient history.
Habib.
I was a long-term skeptic of FSD and this quote-unquote culture of driving throughout our country. Remember, I used to talk about how terrible it was in New York. I've got 12.3 on one of my cars, and it handles Manhattan so well. I'm actually so impressed, and that's 12.3. I can't wait to see what 12.5 does.
Thank you, Habib. We have an outpouring of love for Jowua Life in the replies, which I really like. Truth to a T says, shout out to Jowua Life. Our Model 3 floor mats are incredible. And if you want to enjoy those floor mats, the link is at the top of your screens. TSLA Live supports this space greatly. Thank you very much, everybody.
You know, to Habib's point, 12.3.6 is now a piece of hot garbage in terms of its performance compared to 12.5. Making the model bigger has dramatically improved everything.
Omar can never just compliment me. You could just be like, Habib, you're right, and wait till you try 12.5. But he always has to cut me a little bit.
Alex, how are you?
Doing good. Lots of excitement today.
Yeah, it's true. Let me get Rich's final comments on the topic, and I want to get your thoughts on Elon's interview at X Takeover. Rich?
Hey guys, so I tested a 12.5 on my Model 3 Performance 2024 over the weekend, and I definitely had, so I just was trying to do some quick editing. I posted some video clips on my timeline, but I had my first forward collision warning getting on the highway, and you know, it went from like 32 miles an hour to down to 5. It didn't navigate the on ramp. It kind of ended quickly, and it almost hit the truck in front of me, but it didn't disengage. I didn't disengage. It just was I had a couple uncomfortable on ramp scenarios this weekend. Yesterday, an additional one, which I didn't post yet, where it was getting on. And what it used to do before was it would kind of cautiously get on and kind of zipper in. But on 12.5, what it started doing was just kind of trying to go all the way to the end pretty quickly. And yesterday, it actually just started driving into the emergency lane. So it like gave up on getting on the highway, and I had to disengage. But all that being said, city driving is definitely better than it was before. And I actually posted an article on Friday, just what FSD meant to me when I was driving on a 12.4.3. I won't go into it. It's kind of a personal story. My dad just passed away, and it was something that drove me to my parents' house. And I don't even remember driving without, and I didn't even, you know, couldn't even remember the drive until I was pulling down the street, and I was kind of navigating through some construction, and I was just like, this is absolutely amazing. And it was something that I was looking forward to my dad eventually being able to use, since he couldn't use a drive. He lost his license a couple of years ago. And it was something that he always wanted to do, was be able to just go to the store without nagging my mom. And I used to drive him to treatment all the time, and he used to see FSD, and he was like, you know, couldn't wait for it, but he couldn't. It was hard for him to believe too. So, anyways, conflicted. 12.4.3 was really good a week ago. Testing 12.5 this weekend, and just some highway regression, being a little bit more aggressive than usual. You guys can check out the posts I put on my timeline. Sorry about taking too much time there.
That's okay, Rich. Sorry about your loss, and thank you for sharing with us your story.
Thank you.
And you're always welcome.
Thanks.
All right, Alex, how are you?
Good. Good.
What did you think of the interview?
Oh, it was great. I was following it along. I think people didn't know about it because I was in the space like really early, and there was like 200 people there, like views, like watching, and I was like, what the fuck are people doing? Like it's Elon. I don't know. I think people weren't expecting it. I don't know if John advertised it enough. I don't think he knew he would also stay that long. So he was very generous with his time. Yeah, it was great. Good questions, good answers. Of course, like no product unveil info additional. That's to be expected. People should stop asking that. He can't do it unless he wants a lawsuit from the SEC or something. Another one. But yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, I didn't know about it until after the fact, honestly. But so if you maybe like summarize top 3 points that he said that you took away.
Well, of course, like the number one thing I think everybody will agree is that he confirmed that Tesla will not be making any Tesla candy. I think the markets reacted very, poorly to that news. We were expecting a lot of revenue from that, and he denied it. I still suspect that maybe he might not be aware that there's a team somewhere developing Tesla candy and that actually trademarked a few names of specific Tesla candy. But who knows? He didn't know about I don't know if you guys remember, he did not know about the McDonald's Tesla collaboration in China for, what was it? It was the cyber spoon, the stainless steel cyber spoon for McFlurries or whatever. So he didn't know about that. So
How could
maybe
he
the
not
candy
be up to date on such an important product as the cyber spoon?
I know, it's like he's the CEO. He's expected to know all this shit, but apparently not.
Yeah.
So there might be still candy.
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay, on the more serious note, well, there was like he confirmed that or he announced more that FSD is coming to Cybertruck in mid-August. So that, I think people were pretty excited about that. He talked about Tesla Optimus, and one of the bombs he dropped was that Pharrell, which was seen at the Olympics with him at the opening ceremony of the Olympics in France. Pharrell was there, like right next to Elon, not talking to him in that clip, but he was like right behind him. And he says Pharrell is interested in like designing like a custom type Optimus. I don't know if it's going to be like Louis Vuitton or, what he has in mind, maybe a big ass hat on Optimus to make it more dope or something. But yeah, he has plans for that. Then Elon said that Tesla Roadster, that would be like the most mind-blowing demo that Tesla has ever done. We're talking about the Roadster with the SpaceX package that should be next year, going into production. So when is that unveil event going to happen? No one knows, but yeah, that's going to be the most mind-blowing thing people will have seen. He also hinted that was like that Tesla will introduce like never before talked about products. So we've seen. So he said talked about. So maybe it's the Tesla van that we know. That he's shown at the shareholder meeting and at a few events. That's like under a tarp. There's looked to be a vehicle that's going to be a van. Maybe there's something else. I don't know, but he dropped that bomb. Of course, he said Robotaxi unveil event will be like pretty exciting and profound, but he also warned that not everyone is going to get it though. But they will in hindsight. I think that's common with Tesla unveil events. People don't usually get it, and then when they see it and they see the numbers that it generates, then people say, yes, I understand now. I think the same thing's happening with FSD 12.5 right now. What Sierra said, that that basically changed her mind. What else? Oh yeah, he talked about.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
All right. Sierra, when you say change your mind, is that more along the lines of eventually vision only will get to robotaxi? Like, I think that's where AI driver is. or do you think it's near term within the next like year or two?
I think near term, within the next year or two. I wouldn't be, with the amount of improvement from 12.3.6 to 12.5, I wouldn't be surprised if we are one update away from Robotaxi ready. And I'm floored to hear myself say that, but I'm saying it.
Thank you. For those of you who just joined us, tonight we're starting an AI live spaces with Sierra, and I think Michelle is going to be there too. It's going to be purely focused on AI and robotics, not necessarily Tesla focused, but we're going to be discussing, maybe diving deep into AI related papers, development, news, updates, and it's going to be about a half hour to 45 minutes. Tonight's session is more kind of around brainstorming. There's nothing really we're going to discuss in specific, but I'm going to try to see what the best format is for this. I haven't decided just yet. So tonight, 8 p.m. Uzi, 8 p.m. Eastern. Uzi?
Two questions. So for the next FSD, well, has Elon said anything about Robotaxi, like pinning it to a 12 point whatever, or is it 13 point whatever for a Robotaxi? That's the first one. And the second one, I guess, is for Alex, is about the Roadster. Is it supposed to hover, or what's the thought with the SpaceX collaboration?
You want me to go first? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He said a few times that, he hinted that it could fly a little, that it could. As an engineer, I don't get that. I think that it would more push the car down to increase traction with the road. So the motors, the electric motors, have like, how they put wings on, Formula Ones to create like a downforce and also a vacuum like under the car. Well, it's to push the car down to the road so it gets traction. And when you start, you're limited by just like the weight of the car. Like that's the amount of force you can put on the car to accelerate it. So for me, it makes sense that whatever SpaceX package will do, it'll basically plant the car on the ground, maybe push it a little forward, but mostly down to let the electric motors fully, utilize their torque and HP to get those accelerations. But, Elon is Elon and I'm not Elon. And so who knows what that's going to be. That's going to be a big surprise.
Okay. All right, great. Uzi, does that answer your questions?
Yes, I mean the second one, yes. And then was there any like speculation? Like I don't like speculation, but I mean for Cybertruck we knew it was 12.5. That would be FSD. So has he mentioned anything or any timeline for release for Robotaxi?
Anyone who's watched it? Omar?
What was the question?
Yeah, Uzi, you asked it twice, and I'm still not clear what the question is, honestly.
He wants to know, like, there was nothing mentioned during the event about which version, like the Robotaxi, which version of FSD Robotaxi will have at the unveil event.
12.69.
Exactly, yeah, 12.69. There you go.
You're guessing, joking, for clarification?
No, I mean, so they've said that they want to get to unsupervised on 12. And they're also training an unsupervised version of the model. So just like they're training FSD supervised, they're also training FSD unsupervised. So it needs to do slightly different things for its failure cases if there isn't a driver. And the internal code name for that is 12.69.
Elon posted 2 hours ago, 12.5.1 starts wide release today. Please connect your Tesla to Wi-Fi to receive the update. So this tweet is at the top of your screens. 12.5.1 starts wide release today. Please connect your Tesla to Wi-Fi to receive the update.
Maybe Omar has a question about this. Do you know how big the package is for 12.5.1? Like, what's the payload size?
It's around 5 gigabytes.
Elon also says it takes considerable software effort to optimize the code enough to run on hardware 3. It also needs to be validated separately. Estimated rollout is about 10 days. And everybody's so worried about hardware 3. It's crazy how people are so focused on this topic. There's so much discussion, debate. You say something and all the hardware 3 tweets get so much engagement, even though the entire lineup today is hardware 4. And hardware 5 is around the corner, which is amazing to me that people are so focused on hardware 3. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, if you have hardware 3
Well,
and
you
you
can
bought
always,
FSD,
yeah, but you can always get like what you can do is today, as I posted at the top, you can get a Model 3 with FSD for $20,000, or a Model Y with FSD for $28,000, a used Tesla. Transfer FSD for free to a 1.99% APR new car and get all the benefits that comes with a new Tesla. It's not just one or two things. We're talking like hundreds of new adjustments that Tesla makes. Even in 1 week, he said, I think at some point, Elon. You can't get your FSD still, and this is only like maybe 100,000 people as opposed to 7 million people who own Teslas now. And they're just making so much noise. It's insane.
I mean, like, here's the thing. If you're one of these people who doesn't have FSD 12.5 on hardware 3 yet, even if they had a build that ran on hardware 3 and it was validated, they probably wouldn't have sent it to you anyway by now. Let's be real. So there's really no difference between this and any regular rollout. Go check out Chuck's tweet. They have people testing hardware 3 outside his house. So it is going to come out. I think everyone shitting their pants is just being completely silly. But of course, your older hardware is not going to be running the best model forever. Today it is, right? Today, you actually don't get anything extra from running hardware 3. It's still running the same model. Eventually, that's not going to be true, right? Eventually, they will train a hardware 4 model, but that hasn't happened yet. So, yeah, think about upgrading eventually, but really, if you want to just keep your hardware 3 car, it'll probably be running 12.5 just as well as a hardware 4 car a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wondering why, Yaman, you're so surprised that people are making a big deal. Remember when they removed the lumbar support that nobody was using in the passenger seat? That went on like for what, a week of bitching? So it's pretty it's to be expected that people will freak out about a possibility that hardware 3 blah blah blah.
I guess so. I mean, I guess what's surprising to me is sometimes that Elon entertains these complaints and replies to them.
I mean, they're customers, right?
There's
more people with
It's a small group.
No, there's more
It's a
people
small
with
group who
hardware 3.
has kind of hardware
No,
3, but
there's
with
more
FSD.
customers with hardware 3 than hardware 4, right?
Right, but the people who own FSD, that they say we paid for this service, which by the way, they were never guaranteed robotaxi capability with their hardware 3 cars. There's no guarantee. They signed these papers. There's no such a thing. And we're only talking like 100, 200,000 people at most. And they have the ability to transfer FSD now to hardware 4 cars if they want to, so badly.
Like, most people who bought the FSD package are probably on hardware 3. And a lot of them probably don't have the money to buy a new car. So it's understandable. They want to run the latest update. I just think that they're getting their panties in a twist about nothing. It is going to get the update. I mean, last week, Tesla released FSD 12.3.6 for their Tegra MCU1. Okay. These are like cars from like 2016, like 8 years ago, that aren't even running like an Intel instruction set, and they're still sending out updates for them. So there's no company that is supporting cars 8 years in the past and still sending them FSD updates like Tesla. Every other company in the industry, they tell you, go get a new car if you want the latest features. They're actually so good about backwards compatibility. And they're going to make sure that if you have a hardware 3 car, it stays running for a long time. It's going to keep getting FSD updates. Now, if you want the latest and greatest, FSD transfer until the end of the quarter. Take advantage of it. Then you don't have to worry about this. But if you want to keep your hardware 3 car, keep your hardware 3 car, and you're going to keep getting updates. There's no need to freak out at all.
But even, I mean, having said all that, I agree with everything you said. But the thing is, like, even if they stop getting updates after 5 years of ownership and they go publicly complain about the company that provided them with the car and all the services and the software that they enjoyed for 5 years, that's just not cool. Go drive a Corolla. You know?
People will complain about anything, right? So you
Yeah,
can't
but
get
it's
upset
so,
about
it's so,
people complaining.
yeah, if
The
they complain,
custom,
I will call them out in my space.
well, you know, there's a saying, the customer's always right. So even if the customer's saying something completely idiotic, you're supposed to go, oh, okay, I understand how that can be frustrating. Let me help you with that.
And to be fair,
Yeah, I
Elon
don't
was
know.
not answering to people who were complaining, just asking the question. Like Farzad basically asked the question.
No, I'm not talking about Farzad, obviously. I'm talking about some other people that who are well known. They just complain after specifically asking to be included in the FSD beta. You know who I'm talking about. It just bothers me. Habib?
You know, the other thing I've noticed about some of these complainers or some of these customers is a lot of these vehicles with hardware 3 were sold kind of coming out during the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic. So I feel like a lot of people are also bitter just because of the large price drops that they're experiencing. So now a lot of these people are belly up on their financing, and now they're potentially, or they're worried they're not going to be able to get FSD or Robo taxi services, excuse me. So I think it kind of adds more to their bad experience because you have places like X where voices are heard. And so I think he does have to address it and try to appease them to some degree.
I mean, there's nothing to really appease. They're going to release it. Oh my God, it took a few extra weeks. Everyone should be stoked that it's going to run the full size model. That is the takeaway, you know? And it's just like insane to me when he says, oh, guess what, guys? Hardware 3 is actually going to run the full size model. And everybody actually takes away the opposite. They start panicking. It's like, huh? Maybe you guys should learn to actually understand what he's saying. Or if you don't, listen to somebody who actually does. So, anyway, it'll be ancient history in a week or two.
There's also probably a factor of, content creation. If, you don't have the 12.5, but you were used to making FSD videos, and then you see like Omar like strutting around with his 12.5 making super cool videos and you can't, that might bring up a little bit of resentment and jealousy. I'm just saying, maybe.
Yeah,
by the
maybe.
way, my mom pulled the trigger on the new refresh Model 3.
Okay, Uzi and that's Sierra.
This is, by the way, one small thing. This is the ultimate first world problem. I had to wait an extra week for my self-driving update.
It's so insane. It's so insane. And Tesla gets a bad rep because of these people. But just step back for a second. Look at the forest. Stop complaining about your first world problems. Uzi and Sierra.
Well, part of it's the incentive structure on the app. There's 2 types of responses: fanboying and then dissent. And they're sort of prioritized equally by the algorithm. And on the other hand, people treat Tesla like it's a sports team. Like, I know you're from Philly, Amon. Like, look at the Philly trolls. There's a lot of people that get engagement just by sowing sowing, I guess, issues for the people that are fanboying about it, and it's prioritized by the algorithm. So at the end of the day, the people that I know that actually have Teslas aren't really focused on this. I mean, I think it's really just the X ecosystem that cares about Tesla to this extent.
Sierra.
So the hardware 3 thing reminds me of an excellent Louis C.K. skit that's 10 years old now, probably, called Everything's Amazing and Nobody's Happy. And he, in it, talks about how he gets on a plane and Wi-Fi is like one of the very first flights that offers in-flight Wi-Fi. It's brand new. Now we all are pretty accustomed to having Wi-Fi on our flights. But he gets on one of the first flights with in-flight Wi-Fi, and like minutes after they're in the air, the Wi-Fi goes down. And the guy next to him is cursing and angry. And he says, like, how quickly the world owes him something he only learned existed 5 minutes ago. And that's
Yeah.
how I feel about
Yeah.
FSD and hardware 3. Like, everything's amazing and nobody's happy. It's coming. It's coming. And it's amazing.
Yeah. Louis C.K. is one of my favorite comedians. And I know exactly the sketch you're talking about, the ski you're talking about. He says, you're in a seat miles above the ground and you're still not happy, kind of thing. Yeah. That's exactly what I
Yeah,
think.
You're
he's
like
like,
a Greek myth right now.
you're sitting on a chair in the sky. Did you just partake
Yeah.
in the gift of human flight? Like, our cars are driving themselves. And yes, our newer cars might be driving themselves a little bit better than the older cars, but still your older car is driving itself, and it's going to drive itself as well as our newer cars. And that's amazing. We're not driving
Yeah,
anymore.
that's a really important point. Hardware 3 is going to run 12.5 just as well as a hardware 4 car. Exact same model.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Tesla gets a bad rep because of these people. It's ridiculous.
And you know, by the way, I have a hardware 3 car, and we're not going to sell it just because it has hardware 3. We're going to upgrade it next year when it's time to upgrade it. If it has hardware 3, that's just what it has. You don't need to worry about what hardware your car has. Just try and get the latest hardware, which is, you do nothing. All of them have hardware 4 now. And that's it. You don't have to worry about it. Just upgrade your car when you upgrade it. You'll never have to worry about the hardware. They'll send you updates. And if your car needs a hardware upgrade, then they'll offer an upgrade for you. So, not your problem at all.
Edward.
Yeah, I don't mean to bring a personal problem in, but it is related to this. I got the alignment done, tried to put the FSD on the way back, and it won't engage. It was still popping up all of the warning things with traction control and everything. Do I have to reboot, turn off the Tesla and reboot it to get the system to work back properly? Does anybody know?
Consult the service section of your application and describe what's happening. They should be able to take a look at the results and the alerts, and they can potentially resolve it remotely.
All right. All right. All right. All right. Did you sell your Taycan yet?
No. I didn't sell it. It's on the left in the garage.
I told you before that if you're gonna own a Taycan, you can't come up to speaker.
If you want to benefit from my $100 a month Patreon subscription tier, you're going to have to start speaking more kindly towards my Taycan.
That will never happen.
Maybe I'll sponsor the space for $250 a month and make you change the name to Taycan Live.
I will. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. In your dreams, that will never happen. That will never happen. Sell the Taycan, get another Model S Plaid, or a Model X Plaid or something.
You mean buy another hardware 4 Model S?
Yeah.
Which is now going to become AI 5 in 6 months, and then come online and complain about how everything is amazing and no one is happy?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, the same people complain about hardware 3 now are going to be complaining about hardware 4 a year from today. It's never going to end.
I think that's part of the reason why he is now calling hardware 4 AI 4. I don't know if it's confirmed or not. I thought I saw some tweets like that.
I thought that was only for AI 5. Are we calling hardware 4 AI 4 2 now?
Everything's just
I
AI.
thought I saw a tweet like that.
I'm gonna need a chart.
So you can say the AI 3 chip, the AI 4 chip, the AI 5 chip, the AI 6 chip. Kind of like Apple has the A7, A8, A9.
Even Machine has AI 2 chip now.
All right. You know, Omar, as a preview for our tonight's space, I guess, the Meta's open source model seems to surprise everybody. Even Elon congratulated them, right? Is that right?
I think everybody's just stoked about it. It's like, hey, this is awesome. They just gave us this great model for free. And we can go use it for wherever we want. We can even put it in our product and make money with it. And we don't have to give anything to Meta. Like, everybody's like, dude, sick. Mark Zuckerberg is awesome.
What does that do to OpenAI?
I mean, that's Zuckerberg's strategy. It's really a screw, I don't want to curse. It's a
You
it's
can't
a
say
middle
screw.
finger.
You
It's
can't
a
say
middle
screw.
finger. That I was gonna use stronger language than that, but it's a middle finger strategy. It's, hey, you guys want to make money on this? Screw you. We've got revenue from advertising, and we're just gonna kill this as a market for you by dumping out a world-class model for free, so that you can't rise to challenge us eventually.
Do you use Llama for anything?
Not really, but if I were to build a product, I would probably pick a model like Llama or Mistral to build it on.
Yeah.
I have Llama running on my laptop, so if I want to run an LLM locally, then I could just say, hey, run Llama locally, and I'm able to do that without paying anyone.
Uzi.
From my point of view, Llama, like I use the LLMs for image generation, and Llama comes out kind of goofy. I prefer co-pilots. With I think it's with Dolly. It's a little bit better.
So is this increased competition for Grok then? XAI as well?
Well, Grok has also released their Grok 1 model weights in the open.
Let me ask you more in a direct way. So let's say Tesla made an investment into XAI, $5 billion, and Meta comes out tomorrow with a 10x, 100x better LLM. Or does that reduce the value of Tesla's investment?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's something that investors definitely need to think about. Like, the business case for this is pretty bleak. Like, how are they going to carve a niche for themselves in such a crowded market where so much capital is being poured in and the product's just being given away for free? Like, how do you make money in a business like that? I don't know.
Kiara?
But do we trust Meta? No one has to answer that. Just think about it. Like, how much do we trust Meta? Because they could give me the world for free. And you bet your bottom dollar it is not free. For everything they give, they take 10 times more. They don't ask for permission. They don't apologize after, and they suppress information.
That's a great point. Dallas?
Not from a technical standpoint, I can't speak to it, but I have had the opportunity to see briefly some aspects of the Llama in Meta LLM on the hardware side. I've gotten to kind of tour some of their facilities, and it's beyond comprehension the money they're putting into that side of the business. I mean, it's almost unfathomable when you see it in person.
Omar?
Yeah, it's really bigger than Meta. You got companies like Mistral in France. You've got others. Open source models or open weights models are here to stay, and it's really much bigger than Meta. The question really is, can the frontier models, the proprietary models, stay ahead of the open models? Today, with Llama 405 billion parameter version that just came out, it's a GPT-4 class model. So can the closed models stay ahead, or do open models actually win? There's a good argument to be made that the open models will win, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, this is a ongoing debate, closed versus open, on so many areas as well. Like NVIDIA is following a closed model, whereas AMD is trying to push the open source model with their GPUs. But NVIDIA seems to have achieved done better so far versus say others going up against Meta. Uzi?
For Llama, I guess part of the problem or that Sierra addressed was the suppression of content and it's going viral. That if you ask Meta AI about the Trump assassination, it can't answer that. It's fake. But for the revenue stream question, I do believe Meta's ecosystem includes the Quest. So and if you saw the Bloomberg original video, Zuckerberg was talking about how he wants to rebuild the metaverse, I guess, again. So I think those pieces are coming together for Meta. I don't think it's monetizable. And I think the last part is he says people will use Meta AI for role playing. So there's something I find it's a little jokey, and I don't really take it seriously compared to like FSD, which is real world. But the pieces are in place to build something in the metaverse using Meta AI and the Quest.
All right, great. Any other questions, comments? Please request to speak right now. The stock is up 5%, $231 per share, $725 billion market cap. This reverses about half the drop after last week's earnings call. We'll see if it continues. We have a space focused on AI tonight at 8 p.m. It's going to be highly technical. Some will find it boring, but I recommend you kind of try it out, see if it's for you. I think this is a capability that we have to improve on. I think it's going to be informative for discussions in daily Tesla Live spaces as well. So I'm looking forward to it. And even if it's a smaller group, that's fine by me. Hustle Town, go ahead.
Oh, got in a little fender bender this morning, headed back from the VA. Nissan, I guess, doesn't have FSD. And the lady just rear-ended me as I was about to hit on I-10. It was kind of disheartening, but no damage. Car still works fine. We're just going to have to probably pay for this because didn't have insurance. Oh, I'm just talking. Yeah, FSD's awesome. If you hadn't had a chance, please use that. And I can't wait to see everybody start getting it. It's going to be crazy.
All right, thank you. All right, let's end it on that note. We're gonna end it a little short today, and I continue at 8 o'clock. I'm gonna send my summary of this space to my patrons in the next hour or so, and we're gonna come back 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you very much, everybody, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.